Hi, it's Rupert Hine here from Action Coach near Kinross, and I'm joined today by Anna White from ScotlandShop. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So you founded ScotlandShop 21 years ago,
hmm
and yeah, what took you into business ownership?
So I suppose my parents probably despaired of me in that I skipped around jobs and seemed to move about every 6 months, clearly. Easily bored, I would say. But a lot of my driver was I live in a very rural community. I married a farmer, which means you don't get to choose where you live. So I knew I would be here for a long time, as long as things went okay, which they have. So I really wanted to create myself a good job. I wanted to create myself as my background, sales and marketing. And I just, yeah, I wanted to create myself something challenging and interesting. A big driver for me was we produced the most amazing textiles in this community, and I wanted to sell those to the world. So that's where it all began, and it's just
Fant-
kind of mushroomed from there.
Fantastic. So, you talked about moving around every 6 months. I mean, to some degree, that's really valuable experience of lots of different places that you can then
Oh,
build into your
yes.
business.
Oh, absolutely. And I think a lot of what I learned was management styles. The way, because they were small businesses generally, was how those businesses were run and the bits that I liked, the bits I didn't like. Yeah, I was really intrigued everywhere I went. Well, how, and I still am very nosy about how people do things. And I love going in and just, chatting to our suppliers about how they do things and why they do it that way and what systems they use. And so I was really nosy about all of that stuff. And I think subconsciously I was obviously banking it all up because I've kind of used it all. And I keep thinking, oh, I don't want to be like that woman that I worked for or that guy or, yeah. A lot of it was about people actually more than anything else.
Yeah, yeah, no, very, very powerful. So, so you started out selling lots of different stuff,
hmm
very rapidly came back to your niche was textiles.
Yeah. And that was critical. I mean, there were lots of things in behind that, but textiles, I suppose, is my true love. It was always the element I loved most. But I think I started off very much with an ideal. I wanted to create this something to sell our local region, the Scottish Borders, and everything we produced here. So we did some food, we did some haggis, we did some lovely cheeses, we did things like that. We also did some crafts and gifts, and but it's so complex. And I think if you took each bit of that, you could have done, like, you could have made the food really brilliant. You could have, but it was so complex. And we were immediately selling overseas and customs and rules and regulations and shelf lives. And so textiles is lovely because it's no shelf life. We are slow fashion, definitely, classic design. And it's squishy and easy to send, it's not going to get broken like a pottery mug. So
Fantastic. And yeah, I mean, there's always that piece of your Jim Collins advice. You do stuff that you love.
yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So you mentioned people,
hmm
and it's all about the people in the business. How did you set about getting people to join you on your journey?
So probably my first few employee, well, my very first employee, um, she was someone I knew. My kids went to nursery with her kids, so that's how I knew her. She then said, "Ah, I can't do this anymore. I've now got two kids. It's too much. But I've got a friend who'd be really good." So the said friend then arrived the next day and said, "Oh, I'd love to work for you." And Ali was then with me for 13 years. So the local contacts, local people who knew us or knew what we were trying to do and were kind of bought into the story and the journey. Um, and then just word of mouth advertising, and now obviously we do Indeed and LinkedIn and all of these things, and we've got got the shop in Edinburgh, we've got the shop in the US, so obviously you need to move away from that But I do think, you know, in this kind of area, it's just so much about word of mouth and yeah, people. They come with you on the journey, and it has been a journey. You know, it's 21 years of ups and downs and changes, and yeah.
So what are the key things you're looking for in the people you want to have working with you?
All about, I genuinely couldn't care less where you went to university, if you went to university, if you went to school, what you did. I'm not really bothered because it's quite a complex business. We're going to teach you most of what you need to learn. You know, one of my best members of staff came to us as a 16-year-old apprentice who hated school, and his mum begged me, she makes ties for us, and she begged me, well, please, would you just take him, he'll be great. And she was right, you know, and he's been fantastic, and he's with us now, it's like 9 years later. So I think we're much better at taking people and molding them or giving them an opportunity and allowing them to kind of find what they're good at. So yeah, uh, we recruit on attitude. We recruit on whether you love what we do. Because if you don't love what we're not paying massive wages. We're not a great big corporation with special benefits, or you know, it's not like that. We're continually investing in the business. We never seem to have any cash. It's just, you know, and it's challenging. It's not a structure where you can coast along. Everyone's kind of, you know, pulling their weight. There's nowhere to hide. So that takes a certain type of person, and that's what we're always looking for, is has that person got a passion to join us? Do they really want to be here? Do they really love what we do? And they might, one person might love textiles, one might love history, one might love the detail or the technology and behind it. You know, everyone loves the different bits, but they've got to love some bit of it that makes them want to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is it that you do, having got them, to help them develop and help them stay? Because you know you've talked about people who've been with you for 13 years. I think the chap you were talking about, he won Apprentice of the Year.
Yeah.
So how do you keep people with you?
So, I mean, then not everyone stays, and I get, you know, there's people who come and you can tell that just, you know, sometimes you choose wrong, or they choose you wrong, or you know, and it doesn't work, and so we don't always get it right. We definitely don't, but we do. I suppose we spend a lot of time with our people. We teach them a lot of things. We do have someone in-house now who is basically in charge of the HR and training side, and she really does training, is what she's doing all the time. And we're trying to put in place much, you know, improved training all the time. We're trying to make it better. And we're trying to make it interesting, I suppose. But I think what we do is really interesting. You know, there's a lot of different elements to it as well. So we also try to move people around. So they come in and they maybe think they're really good at one thing, but they then go and work in dispatch or customer service or out at an event or something, and they suddenly go, actually, I'm quite good at this, or I quite like that. So because we're little, you can work across a few different roles, or we can create a role. If we see someone's really good at something and they're going to generate their own revenue, then we're able to do that. So I suppose that's part of it, being a bit flexible about where people are going to go.
Yeah, fantastic. So now you mentioned earlier that you've opened a store in the US. So you've opened a store in the States.
Mm-hmm. It's been fun.
What, you know, that's quite a move. So
Yeah.
what was involved in going and having an operation overseas?
Well, we've always, I mean, from day one, we've been an exporter. You know, that's just what we've done. And then we opened a shop in Edinburgh in 2017, and immediately it was really obvious that it was the overseas visitors who loved us best. And they would buy in store, but they would also go home and then purchase again. And they became real kind of long-standing loyal customers. And we already were doing some events out in the US. We'd done a few Highland Games. We're involved with New York Tartan Week, these things. So I suppose that's where we tested the water. And that was all kind of 2019. We did quite a lot of that. 2020, the first couple of months, we had done a bit more. And then, of course, there was COVID. So that kind of knocked it all on the head. So I suppose in a way that gave us a bit of thinking time. So we did a huge amount of desk research during that time. We thought, right, we're not going to give up on this. Let's take this time and use it. So we did loads of research into where our customers were. US, trouble with the US is so massive. So where were the customers? Where were the pockets of Scottish population? Where was the general population? Where was their money? Where was there not? Just lots of all these different elements. I mean, the spreadsheet is ridiculous. And then we ranked everything, you know, by importance. We kind of gave it a ranking and worked out then which area was going to be strongest for us. And it wasn't a surprise that it was the Northeast, but then the Northeast is a huge area. So it was then, well, where do we go in the Northeast? So then we looked at, you know, where the strongest stories were. We chatted to chambers of commerce. To be honest, a lot of it came down to, well, really, do we just need to plant a flag and get on with it? Because it's so big, there's so many opportunities. We could kind of go anywhere. But where we are is very accessible to Canada, to Boston, to New York. It's got its own airport. So there were lots and lots of reasons, but a lot of it was the Chamber of Commerce. They were fantastic and really helpful. So I don't know, we just kept coming back to Albany, and that's where we ended up.
Fantastic. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people in Scotland are struggling to bring people back into the office after COVID, where people have been working at home. They've not enjoyed remote management necessarily.
No, it's very difficult.
And there you are, managing people in multiple locations, you know, either side of the Atlantic. What's the secret to managing people remotely?
I don't know yet. I've not got it right yet. It's really hard. And you know, our staffing has been the biggest thing in the US. We know we've got customers, we've got people who want to come and see us, but getting the staffing right there. So the original plan was, you know, we have a member of staff here who was really keen to go and spend a year out in the US. So the original plan was we'd get her a visa and off she'd go and she would look after that store for the first year. And that all seemed like it was going to be great until US authorities decided that no, they didn't want to give her a visa. So suddenly we were like, well, actually, we're just going to have to train people. So then we brought people across here to train them for a couple of weeks. Then yeah, they kind of went back, and as soon as they went back, they lost that support network and they were definitely floundering. So it's taken a while to find the right people. We're still searching for those people. We still could do with another couple in that store, and we could do with another couple to run events. So that's, you know, we need to do that. We're kind of taking our time to find the right people. So finding the people with the same values as the people who work here, you know, but also the US is a different, their employees behave in a different way, their expectations are different, the way they're treated, I would say, is not that great. So there's a kind of high level of mistrust and the kind of bit like, wow, what, you would do that? Oh, that's really great. They're kind of surprised, I suppose. So I think long term it should pan out well for us, but it's just difficult and it's really hard for them. You know, we're not there to help them all the time, and we're on. I mean, and my working day is just ridiculous because it's 11 o'clock at night and I'm on the phone to them, explaining how to process something in the till that they can't work out. You know, so it's been tough for those staff, but it's also really tough for the staff over here. Because they're like, oh, I need to find an answer to this to this order that's been taken in Albany, but oh, they're not open for 5 hours because of the time difference. So when we originally looked, actually LA was one of the really strong markets, and I was just like, no, we can't do that because we cannot cope with an 8-hour time difference. It's just unmanageable. So we'll do that one later. And so no, in terms of what's the secret, I don't know what the secret is. It's really tough. I think if Emily had been there, it would have been a quite different picture. But the visa thing is just a minefield. So we're still fighting that cause. You never know. She might get there yet. But yeah, it's really difficult. Really difficult.
So you're 21 years in.
Mm.
What do the next 5 years hold?
Well, I actually work with a coach, and he's like, it's time to milk the cow, Anna. And he's absolutely right. We've grown, we've invested, we've made, we've done a lot to get the business to where it is. And it's got a strong product, it's got a strong infrastructure, the systems are right, we don't need to make major changes there. So now we just need to do what we're good at doing, rather than constantly doing something new, which then kind of makes it hard on you having to reinvest so yes, apparently we've just got to focus on doing what we're good at. So there's lots of room for growth in the US, definitely. The Canadian market's going really well for us. Europe has slightly come back to life, I would say. We're getting there with Europe. So yeah, there's loads of room for us to grow what we're doing. Just reaching more people. So we intend to grow. We've got a pretty ambitious growth target, I would say, but we've kind of got it. I feel like we've got it nice. It is set up now. We're ready to go. We've just recently moved into new premises here in Duns. So we were in the old granary on the farm for all this time, and we were bursting at the seams and had a couple of porta cabins and all the rest. But we're now into some premises on an industrial estate, so we've kind of got space now as well. So in a training and staffing sense, it's much better environment. So yeah.
Fantastic. And if you had to give one final piece of advice
Mm.
to the new and aspiring business owner, what would it be?
Oh, wow. Well, what would I say? I just think you have to be open to change. You've got to have your values and what you want to live by, and that has to be true to you, because otherwise you'll not enjoy it. But I think other than that, it's like us starting out with crafts and gifts, and you have to say, well, actually, this is not practical. It's not the right thing for the business. So then you need to be able to change and flex as things move. And we've found that with the shops as well. We've had to change and flex how we operate, how we do things, how the staffing works. You've just got to constantly be prepared to change. COVID, change, quickly change. Now change back again. I think that's it. Just being open to flex.
Fantastic. That's a phenomenal message. Anna, thank you very much. That's been absolutely brilliant.
Oh, thank you for having me.